Good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us and hanging out with us this afternoon in New Zealand, where it's 12 o'clock midday. Over in Mexico, I think it's around about 8 o'clock or 6, 7 o'clock. Over in America, it's around, depending where you are, it's about 7, 8 o'clock. Over in Canada, it's around about 8. And today we've got some awesome guests. We've got um, Rising Sun Comic CEO Hawk Sanders. We got Hugo from in the middle there from Mexico, who's a colorist on this beautiful comic book, Incredi-Girl from our Plunge Studios here down in here in New Zealand. You can see the beautiful colors there on the title page there, of course. And we've got Larry from Niobe Comics, writer and creator of the comic book, who's just had amazing success and is still going. His Niobe, I think Max will tell me what the title of that is, and this is Max from Atrocity Comics as well. Yep. Finally, and we'll wait for Larry to come back on, but those guys will be joining us soon. They're a bit muted. I think Max is drawing and so on. So we've been about 7 days into this Incredi-Girl crowdfunding campaign. We got Pete Vasquez here from
Pete.
Yep. I'm not sure who the gentleman is, but he says hi from YouTube.
He's one of our
Thanks
boys.
for joining us, guys. If you're watching from YouTube, if you're watching from our different Facebook channels, thank you for joining us. Please leave a like and subscribe. We want to build this channel up as an independent comics interview site, right? So we're able to not only network and not only grow and share everybody else's work around the world. And I mean, you could be anywhere in the world. We'd love to talk to you and interview you. And we also, do the same thing for our Kiwi New Zealand comic book creators as well. So if you're out there, send us an email. It's, I think if you go to our YouTube channel, it's in there about, and you'll see our email address. I think it's sm.plungestudios.gmail.com. I think .com. But thank you for joining us. And I just want to thank you to all our backers. We've got 8 backers now. We've still got 22 days to go. We've got 40% success rate so far. It's about, you're seeing here in New Zealand dollars, that's $610 New Zealand. So it's about 1,400 is our asking for New Zealand dollars for this campaign. Of course, that is a starting, try to get that started. And then after that, there's stretch goals. There's so much more we offer with so many of our awesome artists, cover artists, and creatives on the team. Max, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself, since you're our new guest?
As I said earlier when we were in the back on the off air, before the show started, I'm Max DeVille. I started Atrocity Press probably in 2017, 2018. It was like right in December time frame. So, and we started with a comic book called Mary Machine Gun. I was shocked that no one had taken Mary Machine Gun ever. There was Machine Gun Mary everywhere, but there was no Mary Machine Gun. So I was like, all right, score. So we started working on that book. It did really well. The second book did even better. And that brought us on to bring Johnny Reed onto the company. And then he started doing his book, Human Hunters, which is doing well. It's not like doing like $30,000 campaigns like a lot of people do, but it's doing enough to pay for itself. And then we started doing Ninja Bimbos versus Zombies from Deep Space, which is our B movie title. It's just cheese ball. It's really all it is. It's just a bunch of adult material, so it's probably not perfect for this
Sure.
Current audience.
Yeah. I mean, there is a whole was it like 1950s, 1960s with the whole around the like the 50-foot woman and stuff like that?
Yep.
That sort of idea behind it, or is it
Well, this one, it's some comets come. You ever seen the movie Night of the Comet?
no?
Okay, well, this comet comes to Earth, and all these comets come and they land in New York, and they hit in New York. They also hit everywhere else in the world. It's taking place in New York, and it releases this green gas that turns everyone into zombies. And
Right,
then some girls and guys don't get turned into zombies, but it's a very, very low chance of it happening.
right.
You have like almost a 0% chance of surviving.
Mm.
And these exotic dancers, they end up surviving, and there's a reason why. And it's funny.
Right.
But there's just a bunch of jokes in it, and
Mm.
they don't know what they're doing when they're fighting at the beginning of the book, so they're not really that good. And then they end up running into this ninja master in the middle of this zombie apocalypse, and she's like, you girls are way out of your league. And then I like to use lines from some of my favorite movies. One of this
Right.
one is she got her hand out and she says, "Come with me if you want to live."
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
Awesome.
we've made plenty of books. We've got a lot more in the hopper, I guess you would say. Our books are really, to be honest with you, our books are R-rated. They're not.
Yeah.
There's no sexual content in it, but there is a lot of gore and a lot of violence and a lot of swearing and nudity.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's definitely an R-rated book. So, I mean, don't just for my being here. I know
Yeah.
you try to keep it all ages and everything. So I don't want my being here to be a
Yeah.
your your
Pushing
you're
that,
saying that, yeah, you're saying to go
yeah.
buy my books because
Yeah.
it probably is not gonna work well with your audience. But I like talking about just making books and just
Yeah.
the business of comics. So that's why I'm here.
I remember once, because I used to own a comic shop, right? So I remember one time I had probably a 10, 12-year-old kid who'd always come in for Deadpool, right? Who's like, that's his fandom. This is like about 2015, 14. And the kid was, probably like, as far as I know, locally, was the most hardcore Deadpool fan.
Yep.
He comes in and his mum's there, goes, hey, here's the list of, what he wants. All right, let's go on the counter. And I go, so I looked at the mother and I went, hey, just want to let you know, this is quite a violent book. And, and I can't really say, yeah, without your permission. And she said, yeah, my son knows what's in them and we know what's in it. And our son is mature enough to handle that. And it's a character that he loves and enjoys. And, basically mom's saying he's a balanced kid. I don't have to worry about him. He's very
He's
mature,
good to go,
and he's fine.
and he's
And
reading.
then yeah, and he spent a lot of money with us, and a couple of $100 every month. It was, as a regular customer. But I had to, as someone had, as a shop owner, I had to go in and say, look, I have to tell you this, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes I've been where people just want to sell it, right? You just want to sell it, and you don't want to actually warn. And then you have the problem where they come back, they go home, and they come back, and you got someone complaining and saying, "Why did you let my child take this?" I've had the
Yeah.
situation with a video game once where I had to walk back my cousin and say to the shop, to like what you'd call Walmart over there in the US and so on, and say, "Hey, did you just sell this to my nephew, my cousin?" Because yeah, he said, "Oh," I said, "Why?" It's like it's got R18 on there, and he's only about 12 years old. It's like, well, I saw him with you, and so I just I thought it was, fine. I said, yeah, but I don't know, it wasn't as, because I think he had all these vouchers and stuff, so he was able to use them off. And then, so I had to say, no, he's going to swap those out, and we're going to do this. So those are two examples of, like how things can get a bit messy for customer the
Oh
salesperson
yeah. I mean,
as well.
they're really pretty hardcore about that stuff with video games here in the
Yeah.
U.S. I mean, like they've got their little rating system and they
Mm,
stick to it. I mean, if it's an MA game, then they're gonna in year 12 they're gonna be like, hey, where's your parent? I can't sell this
yeah.
to you. I've seen them do it numerous times.
Mm,
You're talking about selling books. Rising Sun US is pretty much nothing older than PG-13. So when I'm at shows and everyone kind of flocks to Henry the Cantankerous Hamster. So when we first printed it, like, we got some of that feedback. People didn't know that there was language in it. And we actually had to put a, PG-13 sticker on the front of it because it kept coming back. And what's funny about that is that sometimes whenever they come up, I'll be like, hey, there's some language in this book. It's intended for an older reader, because younger kids will want to pick it up. And usually the mom will either say thank you or they'll say, oh, my kid hears worse from me. That's been the most common two replies. However, what I think is really funny is if I say that, the mom or dad will be looking at other books, and the kid will sneak around the back, flip through the book to find the words, and be like,
mm,
"Oh, there it is," you know.
yeah.
And so they're curious. They're curious. So I'm not for certain there's a great way to approach it, but
Mm.
I find that story very funny. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
There is that also, like the whole warning, right? Parental advisory that they did like in the 90s with music. And so you knew which music you want to get to because people are warning you not to get to that music. And so it actually helped with record sales, right?
Yeah, I would say
And CD
actually,
sales.
it actually helped sales because people were all
Yeah,
like, "Well, this is obviously something that they don't want me to listen to, so I'm going to listen to it."
yeah. All right, Hugo, how's Mexico today?
Oh, it's great. The heat has gone
Yeah,
a little bit down, so I'm a little bit more calm. But I did go to the gym right before
yeah.
the this live stream, so I'm very tired. So maybe I'm not as into the live stream, but I'm trying. I'm just tired.
Cool. That's all right. Hey, have you got any work you can hold up with that you've finished colors or partly into coloring? We're looking
With
at your page right now. The colors on your page right here, with the Templeton twins. I received this the other
which
day, and I was like really, really excited because I'd never seen them in color. Because when I hand these out to people, to my artists, I basically mock up photo images of what I want them to look at. I put heads of people, and I go, this one has to have dreads. This one has to have like plain, you know, Mary Poppins type thing, and the other one's kind of like a goth looking twin. And so when I actually see something come back like this, it just excites me. And I was like, Hugo goes, "Oh, is there any changes?" I'm like, "No." Let me just look at my folder, and see if there's anything no, there's nothing. So yeah,
yeah, I was
good job, man.
I was using the references that you sent me. I was always just checking and checking, but some of them were black and white also. So I was like, oh, I don't know what color the hair is gonna be or anything
Yeah,
like that. But yeah, I just used whatever worked better for the palette, and I think it came out great.
So, have you
yeah.
had a book come back completed yet?
For for me or for Hugo there.
For you, for Aru.
Oh, we're basically working on the colors now, Hugo, with this one. So the last book that we did was like a mature readers one called The Circle, which is black and white. So the next few that we've got coming out is all going to be like mostly colors. Like
Yeah,
we've got a couple, mature titles coming out, and they're all going to be colored. So this is our first full colored book, and I'm quite
I
excited for it.
yeah. I tell you, when you actually sit down and read your first full colored book, you're like, okay, I made a comic.
Yeah,
Because when you do a black and white book, I've done a few in the past,
yeah,
mostly through fanzines and stuff like that. But I helped, I wrote a couple and edited quite a few. Um, it's just when the color just makes all the difference. It's the
Yeah.
smell of the ink is different. I mean, it's fantastic stuff.
I'd like to give a
It gives
shout
it life, right?
Yeah.
It really, like, you look at the page and go, oh, I get it now. This is what I wanted.
That's like the cool thing is that it's something that was in your head and now it's physically in your hand.
Right.
And that's super cool.
I'd like to give a shout out to Pete. I think he's from British Columbia. Is that right, Larry?
Now, Pete, he's in New
Pete's
York.
New York.
Yeah, he's New York.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's in New York. Okay. Hey,
Good
Pete,
one,
thanks for
Stu.
joining us.
Yeah, he's one of our crew. He's an artist from New York City. He does a lot of shows in that way. Specializes, I think, in the anime sort of style, but he's got a wide a range of talent. He's an artist for hire. So guys, if you're looking for someone to draw something for you, maybe consider Pete Vask.
Yeah.
Awesome.
His anime stuff is great. His Bruce Timm style Batman stuff that he does, fantastic.
I think I might have a Bruce Timm Batman for the figurine here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
So let's Hawk, do you want to take over on talking about the Kickstarter, and then we'll get back to you and talk it with Larry about Niobe and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I can talk a little bit about it. So, as you all know, we have 22 days to go on this campaign. We are at 43% funded. I think that's a wonderful thing. We have many different categories to do. I'd like to give a couple shout outs there. I know this is a little unusual. But Alexia Velez, thank you very much. John McIntosh, you're awesome, brother. Thank you. Alexis Larios, hopefully or Alex Larios, thank you for your support. Justin Young, thank you for your support. And of course, our good friend Josh Eggebin, thank you for supporting this campaign. And of course, Kay Asen, thank you very much. So without your help, we couldn't get here. And so I'm very, very happy that you guys have decided to go along with us here. I know that's a little unusual to these things, but just one of the many ways that we're going to show our appreciation. So.
Yeah.
How many followers do you have?
Oh gosh,
that'll usually convert at about a 20% rate. So you can just
the way you tell that is you have to go actually into your dashboard and scroll down a little bit, and it's going to say followers, right?
Yeah.
And these followers are people who just click the follow button and they get reminded within 48 hours of your campaign ending that the campaign is going to end. And if they want to jump in and back, now is the time.
Excellent.
Okay.
And they get hit again 8 hours out. And then I think there might be an hour out, but I'm not sure.
I think I'm going
to. If you guys are watching, wherever you're watching through, if you got any questions, hit us up and I'll put it up to the team here. And probably get some info that you probably want answers to about Kickstarter and stuff, and about Atrocity Books, Niobe, of course, about Rising Sun, and just put it in the comments and I'll try to put it out here to everybody. Carry on, Hawk.
Yeah, I'm digging around there. I think we're pretty low on the followers on Kickstarter. I think we're a little bit better on our social media platforms than Kickstarter.
Did you do a pre-launch on this, or did you just launch the book?
I did a pre-launch, but I think it needed a couple more days, to try and get it out there. We did a pre-launch for about 2 weeks out, and I think we could have done a little bit better job on the pre-launch to help get it out there to everyone that's following. So I think that's why we're seeing a little bit of a slow uptick in the funding campaign. I'm pretty certain we're going to get there. I mean, we're at 40%.
I mean,
22 days.
You guys are doing fine. I was just asking some questions just about standard things that I'm used to asking these type of questions to people that are running Kickstarters.
I'm trainable, I promise.
Epic.
But the campaign, we did add a couple things on the campaign that wasn't there before. We added a digital tier. Now for $3, you can get a digital. I believe it's going to be a black and white copy that we're going to send out. For the digital tier, and I believe we've got one thing coming up. For one, we're going to add in an add-on for people that actually want to buy some of the original art. And so once you get there, there's going to be an add-on, and I think it's going to be. I think we're looking at somewhere between, depending on which page and how much details in, could be anywhere between 60 to 150 a page, depending on what images we're looking at.
Yeah, that's a great way to raise some money. If you're willing to get rid of the pages, that's the hard part. Every time I see them, and I'm like, okay, I could sell 5 or 6 of these pages, and then I'd be like, but then I'd be 5 or 6 pages short of my collection.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. So like, like I had to talk to James, who's who's going to be supplying the work, and I was like, I mean, I would like a piece for myself, right? Because he's a traditional artist, so he's actually pen to paper, and I'm like, I would love to have a piece for myself, and but it'll be great to have someone actually have a piece, of Incredi-Girl out there on their wall or in their collection.
Oh yeah, someone that really
special.
wants it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think of any of us that collect those pages from books that we're very into, it's wonderful to have. And I've got a couple above you here. Original artwork that was inked. But that's where we're at in the campaign. We've added 2 new tiers. We're at 43%, and we've got some exclusives coming up with art, and definitely I'm going to look more into doing pre-launch for the next one, and hopefully we can get that a little bit better. As you guys can see with us, we've made some hiccups in the past. We're trying to solve some of that stuff moving forward, and had some couple campaigns that we actually ended up canceling funding on. One of them was, and I'd love to talk a little bit about this, was we actually canceled the first Incredi-Girl because we felt like we could do a better job rebranding the identity of it. Wasn't because we didn't think we were going to hit goal. It was really, the idea is do we really want to put this out?
That was on me, because like I saw it in print, and then after putting the money out, like $500 New Zealand, right, and getting it printed, and then like after putting it out there, and I thought like, wait, is this how I want the world to first see my character? The cover art is amazing. That's why we're doing it as a variant on this one. I love the cover art, which was this yellow one here, right, from New Zealand artist Art of Evans. He's a very close friend of mine. So, if I can get this thing to move. There we go. So, but like when I looked at my my work, artwork inside, I was like, it works fine as a web comic, which is, when you're giving it out there for people for free. But when you come to get people to pay for something, you want quality. You want something I want, right? That's me. I'm looking at I as a customer. So if I'm the customer for this comic book, what I want, a web comic, maybe lower tier art style. And I'm talking about my own thing right here, my own style. Would I be happy if I went and paid money for that? And I guess some people would, but I'm not at that. So I was like, no, I need to redo this thing and get someone professional to do the artwork, work on like working with me with these characters and really bring them to life in a way that I can say, yes, I put my best foot forward and I'm here to, this is her and this is who, she is. And this is how I want to, when you see her, this is how I want you to imagine her in your head, not like my little doodle kind of things that I had. And like, that was me, right? Me saying, yeah, at this stage now, I think I'm just going to like stop and just go back to the drawing board. And we spent the last year doing that, going back to the drawing board, working with Kevin Zimmerman. And oh yeah, it was Kevin who was ill today. So he's not able to make it. And we had a cover artist, James, I think got stung and anaphylactic shock and end up in the hospital. So, the other weekend, like, you don't know what people are going through at this time. So I find like, it's hard out there for people. It's hard out there economically. And so, we understand that it is tough out there for everybody to back something like we're talking about, a niche thing that is like Kickstarter, right? And so that's why we offer as much as we can of value to our project for those who are backing projects like Kickstarters. Like a Kickstarter item with covers and so on, and posters and stuff that there is value to it. There's a limited release value to it, as well as there's like knowing that you have something, you've got something that was released the first time. And as a comic book fan, right, I want to be able to get the first appearance kind of thing. I want to get like, this is where that character appeared, right? So, like we're able to put in the Templeton twins in here. And so you get to see the Templeton twins for the first time, in a comic book. And hopefully, the next 5 issues, because it's a 6-issue series, will get you really invested in what we're doing. But we want to make sure that issue 1 grabs a hold of you artistically, story-wise, because I'm really want to tell a good story here. And it is about the gathering of the 5, which is, of course, who are these 5? And are they the good guys or are they the bad guys, right? So there's a lot of really cool artwork in this book. And as you saw, Hugo's, colors on the pages above before, he's done some amazing work. And I'm just so excited to have Hugo with us, as well as Kevin work on the interior art. It's such a cool thing. We've got Niobe here. Larry, are you back with us?
Oh yeah, I've been back for a while. I've just been quietly working away,
I'd like to add one other thing here, Aru.
Sure.
Could you scroll to Hugo's page? So what we've got here is that, guys, if you're watching this, and you're wondering what we're talking about, if you go to plunge.com, you can go read the previous, which is
Plunge
a
Comics.
precursor. I'm sorry, Plunge Comics. If you go to Plunge Comics, you can go read the previous version of Incredi-Girl, which is a precursor to this one. This is actually a little bit of this is a different story. There we go, right there. And you can see the artwork of what it once was and how much it's grown into this. So if you're wondering what that looks like and why to back it, I think it's wonderful when an artist says, "Hey, I can do better. I can change. I want to make this better for my consumer base." And the worst thing would be is, it's not learning from what we've done in the past. So I think that's one of the reasons. So if you're watching, you can go there and read those. But this is what the artwork looks like on this particular book.
And this man colored all those muffins individually. So go ahead and give it a read.
Yeah, so this is the old the webcomic, right? That I pulled. So you can go to plungecomics.com, and then you'll be, under Incredi-Girl, you'll be able to get the webcomics there. That's what I was looking at those muffins and that shelf. I was like, man, you're right there, Max. Like that shelf, Is it?
It'd be a lot of work. It'd be a lot of work. I wouldn't
The
want
muffins
to do it.
were actually not the slowest part. I think the slowest part was the wall, defining the wall and the strips. But yeah, the muffins just took like maybe a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
The question is,
you guys like it.
Hey, Hugo, after you finish coloring those muffins, did you have to go out and get muffins?
No, because I already had some. Yeah. I was looking at them. It was reference.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, creative side of stuff, right? Like, like as artists and creatives, we always surround ourselves with a lot of beautiful, work, right? We surround ourselves with other people's comic books, other people's, figures, action figures, toys, and art books and stuff to learn from. And I think that's something that's the visual thing of comics, isn't it? Like the actual visual element of creating comics and stuff. I mean, with Niobe, Niobe's been around for about 10 years. Larry, do you want to talk a bit about that?
Sure. I'm actually just trading messages. We might get a world premiere here in a few minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm excited now.
New pages came in for our Niobe Penguina crossover event that I'm doing with Ben Dunn from Antarctic.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, you guys are right around where I was when I started. This is grind, man. Kickstarter is a grind. It's hard work, and a lot of cats they come in and they're hoping to do 10 grand or more on their first tryout, and once in a while someone gets lucky and that happens, but most of the time it's you're creating awareness for your book, and you're trying to get an audience on Kickstarter. And the thing is, the Kickstarter audience has become a little jaded, like they want to see you out there a few times. They want to make sure you're fulfilling. They want to make sure they're not going to get burned. I've backed, thank God it's not often, but I've backed a couple of books, that I just never received. They just take the money and run, we started off in black and white. We did our first 5 issues in black and white. And when we went to color, right, we doubled our backers and we doubled the money we were making instantly. Yeah. And I'm not saying that black and white doesn't work. It does. And it works on a couple of levels. Like one, it works on a financial level. Getting a colorist is expensive. Printing in color is a little bit more expensive, so you can cut costs down by going black and white, which is what we did for the first 5 issues. And color also works depending on the genre of the book, right? Like if it's The Walking Dead, if it's, old school Turtles, if it's maybe like a horror book, cool. But for what we do, from what I'm seeing here on the screen, right? Like this page right here, I wouldn't even be showing that unless that was in color,
Right.
Because that's near the top of the campaign. And so some people might come here, might scroll this far and go, oh, this is black and white, and not be interested, not even knowing that you got color pages down below,
So you reckon switch it around?
Oh, yeah, I would switch this whole thing around.
Cool.
That's just me, though, right? And that's just me having done it for 10 years. But when I look at this Kickstarter, it reminds me of me back in the day, right? Because it took a little while. Like, in Kickstarter, presentation is sort of going to be everything. And so when you scroll through one of mine or one of Max's campaigns, you're going to see that we have graphics to go along with everything. We including prices. We got all the information. Like I'll show you when we pull up mine, right?
Your Kickstarter is your lobby to your business.
Right.
I mean, that's what people first get the first taste of your business usually. Not to interrupt you, Larry.
No, that's cool. I'm actually got to respond to this message. So keep talking for a second.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, so, I mean, we are here to learn, right? Like you got to find out what works, what doesn't work. And if you have more experienced people telling you what's going to work, you're able to like judge, and take advice as they come, according to, what you want out of your project. And I want this project to succeed. So I'm going to utilize as much information as possible to make my, project succeed for us, because we got some talented people that, that I like to see rewarded.
There's a science, a psychology. I wouldn't call it a science. I'd call it a psychology to Kickstarters and how they can be laid out, and how that really kind of helps push them further down the Kickstarter and stuff like that. Like, for example, like your video should be 30 seconds, no more, no less. It should be 30 seconds with just kind of like, here's what you're getting. Here's what we've got. Have fun with it, and then move on to the campaign. Larry puts his covers first because that's the first thing you see. I like to put my pages first because I want people to be sold on the pages, interior pages, not the covers.
Right.
That's just the difference between me and Larry. We do it differently, but our campaigns are very, very similar. We use the same dynamic action poses that we use. We use a lot of the same styles of colors and colorists, and some of Larry's characters were designed by my key artist Fernando Cordiero, who does Mary Machine Gun. So it's his guys drew them, but the character design was through Fernando, which is pretty awesome. See, like I would lead with this picture.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys so much for guiding us through this. And I know that you made some suggestions on the previous one that Aru had done, and as you can see, we've tried to implement those into this Kickstarter because we're still learning too.
Yeah, the changes aren't going to happen overnight, though, right? Like even if you did everything we said, there's no guarantee that it's going to work. You know what I mean? I would advise anyone who is listening to us to take the information, with a grain of salt. Use what you think will work for you and discard what you think doesn't fit. If you pop up my screen for a second, I'll show you what we got going on. Me and Max got to run here soon. We got another podcast that we got to do ourselves.
Yeah. Now, let me just check. There we go.
Yeah.
So this is what we have on the go right now. Niobe Outbreak 2. It's a second part in a 4-part miniseries. And, it deals with an outbreak, like a virus outbreak that's ramping across the city. That makes a lot of people very sick, much like, what we faced for the last 2 years with COVID. Only the sickness comes much more faster and it's much more intense. And in some cases, it activates the genome in the human body, right? So the genome is what gives people abilities in my world, right? So they erupt into, superpowered beings. So this is just the second part, right? Now, as you can see, sort of the reason why I'm showing this, not only just to, plug myself, but at the same time, like we got like little graphics like this at the top that we made through Photoshop, right? Just to spice it up a little bit. So, it breaks up the text, the cover is graphic, and then we have the cover, and then we have like, what letter it is, how much it costs, who it was by, a little image of it, right? Just to make it, pretty. We want the Kickstarter to look pretty, right?
Right.
And as you can see, we have 10 variant covers. Now, I'm not suggesting anyone go out and grab 10 variant covers, but for the genre of book that we do, me and Max do, which is along the lines of Evangeline, Witchblade, Lady Death, the bad girl comics that you remember from the 90s and early 2000s, right? That's our specialty, and so collectors of that genre like collecting variants. They like sending them in the CGC. They like getting them graded. They often end up on eBay for 3 times the amount that they bought them for. It happens quite a bit. So he's, so we got some of this going on. Then, like Max said, Max will put his pages first. I put the covers first. But here, then we have a spot for the pages. And I would, some people seem to have this mentality that you got to put your pages in order and, or whatever. No, you just put some of the eye-catching stuff that you think, might work, right? Much like a movie trailer. It's going to be mixed up a little bit. So, we decided to lead with this new villain character that we got on the go. Show a little bit of her, show a little bit of Niobe. We show a little battle scene that's happening in the book. We show Niobe giving a speech here during the outbreak. Then we show off like add-ons. I can't stress this enough, people, if you're out there listening, right? If you have previous work, make sure people can buy that on your Kickstarter, because I'll tell you why. That is going to equal to about 1/3 of your money, right? And you got to understand that there are people coming to Kickstarter that are seeing this book for the first time. They have no idea that there is a decade's worth of work out there that they can go and tap into and buy. We make that available to them for a period of time. That wasn't even an option on Kickstarter, right? People would like message me, hey, I see number 2. How do I get number 1? We had to tell them, just add extra to your pledge and we'll make a note somewhere. And then hopefully try to remember that they did this, right? But now Kickstarter has the option to add add-ons. So if you have missed out on Niobe in the past, you're covered, right? You can go pick up, pretty much everything that we had, with minus a few exclusive variants and that sort of stuff, right? And we have different sorts of combo packs to give you little discounts and deals on the books if you buy them together, sort of thing. We have Jamie Tyndall, who is like my bucket list artist of all time. I get to work with, right? So we have his standard edition, we have a virgin edition, which means no logo at all, and then we're going to foil it as well, right? You can get the 3 virgin covers that we're offering together. You can buy all 10 together, at a discount. This was a CGC 9.6 Paul Green cover, gone. We still have the Ben Dunn CGC 9.8 cover available. This is gone. I believe this artwork's still available. I'll have to go and check. This is gone. This piece of art right here. Like, you guys talk about selling original artwork. That works, gentlemen. You know what I mean? Like, if you got some solid art, people more so now than ever before, we notice that people are buying original art as investment. That's just what's happening in the marketplace. Stretch goals, right? So you want to reward your backers for being a backer, right? And so at 8,000, we unlocked a card that was drawn by Pete, who's in your chat. At 10,000 Canadian, which we've reached, we unlock this sticker here, this chibi sticker that was done by our good friend Giselle. At 12.5, which I'm slowly approaching, everyone is going to get this Keith Garvey bookmark of our new character Cat Call. At 15, it's this sticker of Sybil, our telepath in the book. Everyone's going to get a badge or a button, depends on what you call them, right? At 17.5, at 20 grand, it's another sticker, Cat Call. At 22.5, we have Nichelle Fraga bringing her Cat Call to life here, and then we have another button. And if we get beyond that, and we have gotten beyond that before, we'll put on more stretch goals, right? So
Larry will make up something else.
I'll make it. But we got add-ons, like I was saying, right? So Origins, our Todd McFarlane homage, Spider-Man 1. That's a popular one. There are people out there that just collect the homage to this classic cover. Like they just buy Spider-Man homages. It's weird. RB White. We got Chris Enod of Image Comics fame here. Our interior artist always does our cover A, so people use the standard cover you see that's going to be in the book, right? And this is a great homage to Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time. Keith Garvey's cover, right? So add-ons, man. And all these will add to your bottom line. You know what I mean? What else?
I was looking for the pop, the Iron Maiden pop vinyl I've got somewhere from somewhere in time.
And even if it's a different book, not even part of the same series, put it there anyway, right? So when I ran Savage Sin, it did about 15 grand Canadian, but there's lots of people that missed out on it. There's lots of people that didn't even see it its first go around, right? So now they got the opportunity to back my new IP if they want to as well, So, and this is a fantasy romp, completely different than the superhero thing that I'm doing. We did give a shout out to our publisher, Antarctic Press, for putting us on the shelves, in comic book shops, putting us in Diamond Magazine. That's a big thing for us. And then there's, notes on our creative team, notes on how we ship our product, notes to remind you to do your survey. And we have a thing from Comics Wellspring because they give us a discount if we put their ad down at the bottom of our campaign. But that's a look at, one of my campaigns. But I would advise people just to sort of like randomly go through Kickstarter like this, click on a few campaigns, study them, see how these people are sort of putting these things together, and if you see something that works, like, hey, I kind of like the way they laid this out, then go ahead and copy it. You know what I mean? You're going to find that there's, like the way there is a meta in video games, there's almost a meta in Kickstarter into the way that these things are sort of put together and presented, CB Zane here, he's obviously leading with his covers as well. And he's got all the information on who did them and how much they are and that sort of stuff, right? And so you can tell like a beginning Kickstarter, because trust me, I'll show you my very first Kickstarter. We go in here. This is great to look at too. This will show you how things really jump from your time starting off. When I started off, I had 64 backers with barely $2,000 Canadian, which is probably about 1,500 US. All right.
Right.
And then as you can see, as we go up the chain here a little bit, it slowly grows every year. These are coming out once a year, slowly grows, right? Until about here. When we got to here, when we got like 200 backers and $7,000, this is when we went to color. You know what I mean? And then look at the next campaign. It went to 16,000. Then it went to 24. Then it went to 30. You know what I mean? And we're doing part 2 for this right now. So hopefully I get to here. This was a trade paperback. So this was reprinted work. Still did 14 grand. That was extra money for us, right? Here's my current campaign at 12,200. And here's the Savage Sin campaign, which was at 15,700. Now, if we click on the very first campaign, I used to do videos, but my videos were kind of shitty, so I don't do videos anymore. But, you know, this was sort of, you know, poorly put together. You know what I mean? We didn't really spice it up. It wasn't very pretty like the one that you just saw. People can tell by looking at something like this. Oh, yeah, this is this guy's first time out the gate, you know. But it takes time to sort of, you know, learn the craft, if you will, right? It's more than like in a comic book and putting it out there. You have to spice up the presentation a little.
Yeah, it's almost you gotta have a little bit of web design knowledge, or just design knowledge. It doesn't even need to be web design knowledge.
Photoshop skills. That I put all that together with CS5, you know.
Well, that's amazing. It's an amazing campaign, and you know that hey, we've got to, you know, hopefully we can throw that link in the chat so anyone watching this a little later.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
Jump to.
Thanks, bro.
You're welcome. Yeah. You're welcome. It's beautiful, beautiful work, and it's good. It's some good mentors to teach us how to do this.
Right. Well, I say you're right where you need to be, right? You know, you got 5 under your belt. I'm not sure if they all were successful or not successful, but you got 5 under your belt. So, you know, you've done this a couple of times and you're going to get funded. Like that, I think is pretty obvious. Now the trick is, right, how do we spice this up for the next issue, or even this issue if you want to change things on the fly, because you still got 22 days. To make the presentation even cooler, right? And one of the other things that you can do that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, is trade updates with other creators who are in or around your same bracket, right? So you're like, hey, you know, if you like this, check out this guy's work, and you put a link in your update, and they go ahead and do the same for you, right?
Right.
It's almost like a sub for sub sort of deal, you know? Sometimes you'll get backers from that, though.
Yeah. It's happened for me numerous times.
Me and Max will probably, you know, me and Max do that a lot. The other thing that we do, right, that's a little bit different, and I'm going to go on camera for this one. Don't mind the light that's probably going to blind you in the back there. But, for example, this is Savage Sin. And on the back of Savage Sin, right, if you want to full screen me for a quick sec.
I'm trying. Just give me 1 sec.
Sure.
Not sure why it's not doing it here. But I'm trying to get you there. Oh, gosh. Give me 1 sec here, guys.
I usually just click the little people icon in my little window there. There we go.
Yeah.
So Savage Sin, right? And on the back of Savage Sin, though, is an ad for Max DeVille's book.
Right.
So we have a pact between us and our crew, you know, where we will advertise in each other's books. You know, Pete, that's in the chat. He's right there. That's his ad right there in my book. When we do this free of charge for each other. So someone that buys Savage Sin is going to turn around and go, oh, what's Ninja Bimbo's Zombies from Deep Space? And the next time they're on Kickstarter, they might see this and go, oh, shit, yeah, I want to check that out, and go ahead and back it.
Right.
So, you know, there's just, you know, some other things that you guys can do amongst your crew, right? To, you know, further the word, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, we were looking at like doing that with us, but like the fact it kind of like because with us, because it's an all ages book, I was limited from putting any of our, you know, other
Sure.
books in there because of that, and so that's kind of like limited us on that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like that's I think Rising Sun's been doing that for a while with like their print comics book. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. We have a campaign that because we have our books in shops, and essentially we have what we call our studios division, where we actually publish their work and do distribution for them. And although we're not Lunar, we're not Diamond, we don't really have that kind of reach yet. We keep trying, to build up. But essentially, you get ad placement in someone else's book by just by signing up on that having us distribute for you. So it kind of shares across the board as to it helps with promotion. Hopefully, someone reading a book of you know a kid's book on one side will be able to catch a kid's book made by by a studio, or
Yeah,
what we call a studio.
that'd be sweet.
It is a lot of networking, isn't it, to try to build an economy of independent creators and comics out there. And I think that's what I think we're finding now is that like with independent creatives joining, in whatever genre they're in or whatever age group the comics are, is what's going to help bring this new sort of vibrancy to the, what is bringing the new vibrancy to the comic industry as the mainstream sound kind of like, you know, goes by the wayside because people
Well,
finding that they're not getting what their meat and they're not getting their meat and potatoes in the mainstream. They're coming to the independent side.
humans
Okay.
are tribal creatures, and they'll if they're not getting what they want from something, they'll go somewhere else, and then the tribe
Yeah.
will go with them.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you touched upon. One, you talked about the community sort of aspect of things. These shows are important, right? Shows like you do, like I do, and all the other shows that are out there. These are all important shows. Even though, like we kind of run small channels and we get a handful of viewers. The fact of the matter is, I'm on your channel, and that means someone new out there, right, is probably
Yeah.
seeing me and hearing about me for the very first time. And it's the same way when you guys jump over to us, and the thing is, the great thing about the internet is it's no longer just something that we sort of do on a local level, right? You guys are in New
Yeah.
Zealand, I'm in Canada, he's in Mexico, a couple of these guys are in the States, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and here we are, we can all just sit down in real time live.
Yeah.
and just talk and present our comics, so
Exactly.
I would do as many shows as you guys are able to do. I would, seek out who's doing these shows, just like you did with me. You made an offer and yeah, sure, let's do it. Utilize your Facebook and your Twitter and your Instagram as much as possible. Join
Right.
as many comic book groups in Facebook as you can. Spread that link around as much as you can, and then invest in yourself as you sort of build your Kickstarters, and you go from issue 2 to issue 3 to issue 4. Invest some of that money you are making back into the product to make it even better, right? Like, we didn't start off having image comic book artists drawing our covers. We had to work our way into that. A, we had to raise the funds for something like that, but B, we also had to build a reputation where these people would want to work with us.
Right.
Make sure you fulfill on time. Make sure that when you say if you're delivering in August, whatever it is, that you're delivering in August or as close to it as you can. If you're going to be late, one of the big things that we see is people sort of not updating their backers and kind of ghosting them, because they're like, well, we got nothing to report. So what am I going to say? No. You tell them, hey guys, things seem to be a little slow. There's a print delay or whatever the case is. You just keep people in the loop. Most people are understanding, as well, you could go to other platforms. You're not limited to Kickstarter, right? So let's say you do Incredi-Girl here and, maybe you get goal and you're like a few bucks over, but you know what? Maybe we can go over to Indiegogo and make a few extra dollars. Why not? Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and check out maybe Fund My Comic, or go ahead and check out Crowdfunder. There's like 4 or 5 different crowdfunding sites now that people can go on. Kickstarter to me is obviously the king. But I threw Niobe on Indiegogo last year and took in an extra $2,000. Am I going to say no to that? No, of course not, right? So, and that gets, again, more eyeballs on the prize. The other thing I'm going to suggest is publishers. So me and Max, it's obvious we work with Antarctic Press. They publish our books. And while we're not getting rich by doing it, we are being seen on the shelf, right? So there are people out there that never heard of Kickstarter before, but they know what a comic book shop is, and they go in and they buy their books for $5. Well,
and we live in a Google society, so as soon as somebody sees something interesting, they're going to Google it, and the first thing that comes up is that Kickstarter.
Like, here's my Antarctic Press version of Niobe, right? So this is what was available in shops, $4.99. You don't have to order on Kickstarter. You didn't have to pay $15 in shipping to get it. You went to your comic shop, and this was sitting beside Batman. You know what I mean? And the other cool thing about being with a publisher is, again, ads, right? So, their ads for their other books that they publish appear in my book. But, you go buy Punchline from Antarctic Press, and you're going to see, actually, here, I'll show you. You're going to see, like, Niobe on it. So this is Punchline number 14 that just came out from Antarctic, okay? And on the back, because Niobe's a part of this, she's going to be on the cover. There's an ad right there for Punchline number 15 that should be out next month, right? So she's right there with all the other cool characters. I'm not sure if that's going to focus in or not. But this is the cool thing about being with the publisher, it gives you that extra exposure. So someone might, pick this book off the shelf at a comic book shop and go, oh, shit. They're on Facebook one day, they see an ad for Niobe's Kickstarter, and they go, oh, yeah, I read that in the, through Antarctic. I bought that at the shop. So, maybe I'll check out this Kickstarter, right? And there are smaller publishers, and what they've realized is that it's kind of almost easier now to sort of just pick up the content that's coming from Kickstarters and putting them underneath their label. Like IDW started to do it. Boom Studios has started to do it. Antarctic Press has done it. Action Lab Comics has done it, even though they're sort of defunct now. But there are publishers who are willing to pick up Kickstarter books, provided that you're able to produce, right? And so it never hurts to, submit to them. It never hurts to submit to anthology series. Max, am I missing anything?
No, if you give me the screen, I can show you that I'm not lying.
What are we not lying about?
About Googling something. I Googled Niobe.
Yeah.
The first thing comes up is the Canadian.
Right. And if you click on images, watch what happens then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hold on. And then it's got creator of Niobe Larry Higgins, Instagram.
Yeah.
And then it's got the Kickstarter for Outbreak #1. So then we go to images.
Yeah, and if you just click on images, like Niobe pretty much dominates. When you search just that word, Niobe, right? That's what's going to happen right there. All our stuff. And the further you go down, the less you see. But, for a good couple of swipes there, it's all us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's the world we live in now, is a world of people that live in Google. So, in search engines, and they will find it. They will search engine it, and they will make sure. If you build
it, they will come.
Yep.
Kevin Costner. Fielded.
That's been my thing, like, forever. It's like, if you got to do it, right? Like, whatever you attempt. And if you don't build it, if you don't start anything, it's not only going to get started. So I think one of my mentors always said to me, and I said this the other day, was like, if you come up with an idea, you got to do it yourself, right? You got to be willing to back it. And I think for us, with what we're doing, is like coming with an idea and working with other people to help us get where we want to go to the goal, goalpost, and reach that as much as we can. Like, we also here in Whangarei, we run in New Zealand, we run a convention, right? Like we've been doing for the last 5 years. It started as a plunge independent indie comic convention, turned into pop culture, turned into an art thing.
Yeah.
That introduced cosplay into it, and artists actually showing, anime artists, comic book artists, and now we've introduced last year actual literature writers, right? People who write horror books, actual novels, right? Who are actually picked up internationally, who come to our thing and put a little I guess a symposium or like a little talk about it and what they do, and they encourage each other and stuff. And I think outlets like having independent little shows like that allows for independent creators who can't afford to go to, like, say, Comic-Con, right? Like if you're spending like tens of thousands of dollars, you're able to go to smaller local events and support those local events with your book there by buying a store, right? And you can put your comic book that you've published, or even a digital copy of your comic book, whatever link on USB, you're able to go, here's some art and here's some stuff. And I think the other thing is with like, and supporting the local economy and supporting yourself and your community creatively through those sort of independent, like, town hall type small venue events, rather than the big, huge, 40,000 people, 50,000, 100,000 people events, which cost lots to go to. But if you do something locally and support your community locally in that, and one thing that's happened here is that, we've got a comic group just started up, make comics, meet in a local library and stuff like that. And like, last, I think a couple of weeks ago, Hawk went to a local comic store, right? That was just opening up, and he was able to take some comics there and do some signings and stuff, because Hawk is a toy designer for, I think it was Hasbro and Disney.
Wow.
And so I saw them advertising for this, and the guys were saying like, hey, bring your toys, get it signed by the guy who actually designed your toy. So I think this sort of like local community, supporting the local community art scene is really important, as well as supporting the local community, LCS, right? Local comic store. Because in the end, we all want to be able to have someone who doesn't know anything about what we do walk into a store locally and go, oh, what's this about? And see our book there next to, Niobe, next to anybody else's book that's in an independent creator thing. I think by growing that, support grassroots wise, it's a good, it's a good way to like actually inspire other young ones coming up after us, which is where I'm at with that. It's like trying to get, next generation getting interested in the passion that I have for my.
It's so weird. We got guys that come on our show, like Gage DeWolf and a few others, that go, I got into making comic books because I was watching you guys.
Right.
We get guys that come on our show and they're nervous to talk to us, and we don't know why, right? But they're nervous to talk to us. Like they think, like, like it'd be like me trying to talk to like Chris Claremont, writer of the X-Men or something. You know what I mean? Like, dudes, we're dudes in our houses making comics, like.
Yeah.
But what you discovered, what we've all discovered, right? And you got a taste of it last night when you came into our private off-air, is that we do this on the reg, and now you're one of our friends, you know what I mean? And now we're probably going to crisscross often, and that only strengthens us,
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, talking about that, like, there's 2 points I wanted to before you guys go, because I know you guys got something else to do, and I've got another podcast about 2:00 here, which is another hour with an airbrush artist. But I was going to ask about this CGC thing, right? Sure. And the other thing I want to ask about is, when you're sending to, say, like, if you're sending to New Zealand and someone in my, that's in the community, right? That I'm part of, like, say, like, okay, let's say a Carl Walker, right? So I was thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking, so if Carl Walker's backing a book, just just by name, or say if Justin, who's backing our book, is also backing your book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or but like, how do we cut down on something like, say, freight, right?
Well,
say if I come in and back one of your books,
it only really matters if there's enough of you, right?
Right.
Like if there's like 50 people in New Zealand backing our book, then yeah, probably having all those guys pay that high shipping is a little crazy when we could probably do it cheaper, like send it to one guy and then that one guy sends it to everyone else. And you probably save a few bucks doing it that way. I don't think it'd be massive amount, but you probably save some money. But the thing is now you got to put all that trust into this guy, you know, on the other side of the world to actually hold up their end and do what they're supposed to do. Right. So this whole thing is based on trust. You know, we work with people all across the world. We network with people all across the world. And even if you have a contract, how do you really enforce a contract with some guy in the Philippines? You know, so so a lot of this is on the honor system and the way that, you know, if you mess up, then the community will let you know, and probably no one will want to work or deal with you again. You know?
Yeah.
You know, since we're talking about these crossovers, you know, can I give a couple shout outs before everyone takes off here?
Yeah, brother.
Sure.
First off, I'd like to thank Buzz Dixon. Thank you, Buzz. I appreciate him. He sent me these. I'm reading through them. So thank you, Buzz. I appreciate those. This series called Serenity. It's a Christian-based series that he had done. So I'm kind of reading through Buzz Dixon's work there. Today, I was up for a comic swap meet at 1.21 gigawatts here in Little Old Borger, Texas. And you can kind of check out some of that stuff. I'd like to thank the one that I haven't opened here, but I know what's in it. We've got, I'd like to thank David T. Allen for sending me some books that I'm looking forward to reading, which is Void Rivals. So that's my get in. What I've got in is Void Rivals, done by Skybound Studios. So I'm gonna take a peek through those, read through that. While I was at 1.21 gigawatts today, you know, shout out to Third Empire Comics and Greg Harms. I got some exclusive work from him.
Yeah,
so there we go.
Yeah, Greg's a friend of ours. Yeah,
there you go. So Repo Man, I've got that. You know, from Third Empire. Mojo Risen.
Mojo Rising.
Yeah.
Mojo Rising. Now that's a book that you know, comes from a guy named Raj Mahan. Someone else that we know is also involved with that book. Jim O'Reilly has done a couple of covers for that book. In fact, I think he did the cover that you showed right beforehand. Yes, there you go. I think that's a Jim O'Reilly cover right there. Yeah, we know those guys pretty good.
And then also with that, I have the Organ Grinder.
So, now this one I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one yet.
This is one of his earlier books.
Okay.
I've known Greg for several years, and it was good to see him today.
You tell him Niobe says hello.
I will. So, and of course, if you know, if you're wondering where that was taking place at, that was taking place here at 1.21 gigawatts. This little news store that opened here in this small town. And that's pretty big for us.
We need comic shops. We need more comic shops opening, not closing.
That's right. So that's my
ask
shout
them
out.
to order Antarctic Press books, please. I mean, you're in Texas. That's the home of Antarctic right there. So, you know.
Yeah. Dallas, Texas. There.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we got Red Handed Studios. Carrie Kelly has worked with Antarctic Press a little bit too. So we've had a little bit of dealing with them.
Yeah, I mean, to guys like us, right? You know, the AP logo means just as much to me as like the image I means to Todd McFarlane. You know,
yes.
That's how strongly we feel.
Right.
So we're always going to shout them out.
But how about you, Hugo? Anything in this week?
No, I have nothing new to say. I'm just glad that we're on our way to fulfill the campaign, and I'm just happy to be working on the book still.
Now, you're the colorist, Hugo?
Yeah.
So how long does it take for you to color the average page?
Well, it depends. I mean, this last page took me about 4 hours, I think. The one that's posted right there. Yeah. But it depends on if the flats have been finished or they're not flats. Right. There were some pages that were flatted. There were some that weren't. So I believe this page wasn't flatted. So it took an extra hour.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the work though, dude. Like you got a lot going on here. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Looks good. I like the colors. Really
Yeah,
did.
it also took like the first page of any book is gonna take a little longer than
Yeah,
all
and
the
here's
other
the thing
pages.
about good colorists, right? They can take, good art, even great art, and make it better,
Yeah.
Like you look at a black and white piece, you go, oh, that's okay. And then you see like, a great colorist, go ahead and throw some crayon down. And next thing you know, you're like, whoa, that's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but also bad colors can also ruin
Oh, yeah.
some great
Yeah,
art.
100%. But you're not a bad colorist. I can tell just by looking at the page. You know what I mean? Like,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying.
So how about you, Larry? Anything in this week?
what, for books that I bought?
Yeah, books you bought. Any shout outs or anything in this week?
Yeah, I picked up a couple things. Not much though. I picked up Street Fighter versus Turtles. So, I'm a big Chung-Li fan. I'm a Turtles fan, so I had to grab that. I got Critter #1. This is Tom Hutchinson's book. This is a back issue that I picked up. He's bringing Critter back with the Antarctic, so figured I'd grab that now. Here's the cover for the Turtles book with the Street Fighter.
It's a pretty cool cover.
Yeah, it's pretty badass,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as, I got all kinds of things to show off, but Punchline, I showed that. Yeah, I got a room. Just look, dude. It's just comics everywhere. All right, like this is like, and we got comics down here and comics over here that I'm sorting and comics over there. Like it's pretty insane, man.
I thought I was the only one who's surrounded by by comics and stuff, and I can't move around.
No, man. I live in a small place, and I probably got too much, junk for a small place. So I'm trying to organize it a bit and whatnot. But yeah, I go to the comic shop once a week. I probably pick up 4 or 5 books. The comic shop is the Comic Hunter in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. They do carry my books, so shout out to the boys down there.
Awesome.
But that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I haven't bought comics for a while. I actually the comic shop that I actually buy off is a one that's outside my area, and it's like sporadically now, and it depends on what's coming out, right? Anything, because I'm trying to concentrate on collecting toys more now than anything, because I'm disappointed with the mainstream. So if anything,
get John Stinsman on with you. He's a huge toy collector. You guys are just gonna have a ball, man.
Oh,
yeah, man.
Johnny.
Because I've started up a new podcast called Toys Collection and Unboxing. So if you're a toy collector, come and join me on that. Check it out, because I love to talk to you about toys. Like so
you do a bunch of HasLab stuff.
The one I've got here, like I'm going to show you what I've got this week, right? So let's get this up. So this is my most recent acquisition over the last. It arrived this past week. This is Joker, and it kind of looks like a Heath Ledger Joker, right? And then it comes with this little bag of tricks, right? And it sort of like closes up that, and there you go. But you got to like really like open it up, and then push all these little things out. So you got the rubber ducky, you got a chainsaw blade, or is it a saw blade with a smiley face? You got the Joker card and stuff like that, and a little gun with the little pop out bang thing. But so let me see. This is from DC Comics. So I'm not. Certainly doesn't say what year, or I can't read it. But like, this is a really cool figure. I think it's a 6-inch or it's a 5-inch. 5-inch. I think it's a 5-inch. It's a pretty cool figure. So I mean, like, so one of the things I do on the show is I'm going to be like, unboxing toys that I've just kept in boxes since I've got them, because I just chuck it into the cupboard and they just sit there. And then all of a sudden I was like, one of my friends, like the guy who did this cover, right, Shane Evans, basically goes, toys are supposed to be played with, right? Yeah. They're not supposed to sit in boxes. And I'm like, dude, but like, they look so cool. Just, you're able to like not get them damaged, and like, I'm going to fiddle with them. So what I've been doing, right, I keep the boxes because I love the boxes, but on top of that, I get to display them as well, right? As you can see here, let me just get this right. As you can see here, I get to buy unboxed toys as well. So this is just one shelf, and because I've started concentrating more on this side of things, and because I want to get into creating my toys myself and putting out Incredi-Girl toys, that's been why I've started doing the toy collector thing. So this is what we want to get to at $8,000 US, I think it is, to allow us to create an Incredi-Girl chibi, right? And to have a 3D figure. This is actually quite solid. It's like fully plastic 3D printed, but we want to do a copper molded figure, a 4-inch figure that we can actually get it out to people with a at a comic book. The other thing I like about what McFarlane did was, like, because I collect a lot of McFarlane toys because I love the articulation and the quality of the PVC that he uses, or the vinyl PVC variant. So this is one of the things that Shane bought me right for my birthday. I turned 50 on the 1st of May. And so it's like, I had almost bought these for myself, and I decided not to because I was like, yeah, the figures are too small, right? But they look really cool. And one of the things is, like, I think what I want to see is for us independent creators is to get into this, into actually looking at creating toys, right? Being able to get out there in a way that we can. It costs a lot of money to do that stuff, and I think that's why a lot of people don't do it. But I think, the more people decide to do it, the more we can actually start actually having that sort of bringing figures to life, right, for our characters and stuff. So the next one I want to actually do is do a Incredi-Girl figure that actually moves, right? And we've thought about doing a Incredi-Girl figure, Incredi-Girl Barbie doll. So not a Barbie doll per se, but actual, combable hair with character and stuff. And I think you're limited by how much you can dream, but also how much money you have, right? So
I don't have a lot of toys, but this is my prize.
I'm about to, yeah. I just saw that pop up there. Hold on, Larry. I'll just put you on solo, bro.
Yeah. So we don't have a Walgreens here where I live, and Magic is my #1 X-Men of all time. So I was able to score this, Magic Marvel Legends figure. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And now you showed off that 3D print. We have our own little version of Niobe the Funko.
Right. That's so cool.
So one of a kind. We didn't mass produce them or anything, because you're right. Toys is an expensive game to get into. Like,
yeah,
we know guys that do $30,000-$40,000 campaigns, and the toys are expensive for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a game I would advise being very cautious with. I'm never going to say to anyone, don't do it, but understand that you better move some toys. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's quite an interesting little thing. I mean, like, you got to factor in everything, right? You got to look at who's doing it. Have they done it before? Is the quality of the product good? And so the people that we're actually looking to do it with us actually are, manufacturers of toys. And I think they actually produced them for Marvel Legends.
Right,
we saw their work. Yeah. So, like, it's you're trying to build, like, to trust, right? Somebody, you're building something way across the other side of the world, and you're like, how do we trust someone with our product? And one of the things we've realized, like, and I mean, the West, is America especially, has realized, is by you do something, it's going to get a bootleg copy of it out there for a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And you sort of, it's a ball game that can be scary, but if you don't play, you're not in the game, right? And so hopefully, like, if you guys are want to talk toys with me, and a collector, and want to talk about your one passion project, or the passion item that you were able to get, right, that you actually hunted down so hard and got, I want to show you something that's like one of the most valuable things I have, which is a figure but not a toy at all. Right, so I'm just going to put this in, and I'm probably got another 10 minutes off this, and then we'll solo out. I mean,
sure.
pop out. But I want to, and then I'll let you guys go. But let me see. Can you guys see this?
I can.
Anybody want to guess who's the first guess?
Well, it
who
looks
is this?
kind of looks like Hugo Strange, but I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like,
This is Spider Jerusalem from
okay.
oh gosh, I forgot the title of the book. Transmetropolitan by Derek Robertson did the artwork, right? With one of my favorite artists of all writers of all time, Garth Ennis creation. Oh no, Warren Ellis. I think it's the Warren Ellis book. Sorry, if I'm right. Or is it Garth Ennis? I'm getting confused between the two. So this is Spider Jerusalem, and check out his cat. This is a cold cast porcelain, if I remember right. This cost me in 97, I think Christmas 97, I paid it off about $50 a week or something, $250 New Zealand. So we were around about 175, 150 US in 97. So check it out. Got all the tattoos on him. Right. And then I think this was in 2014. Derek was here in New Zealand, and I got him to sign this and do the little eyes on it. You know, and the other thing was that I have the first 3 issues of that comic book. It's one of my favorite comic books because he's a journalist, right? And I used to do like radio, and so radio journalism and stuff, and it kind of like, you know, commentating, and here we are now, years later, you know, 16 odd years later, talking to all you guys, you know, interviewing you guys, almost like a journalist, whatever, but introducing you guys to the rest of the world from our side of the world, and you guys doing the same for us. And I think the cool thing about the internet and why I love it so much and love living in the West so much is the freedom we're able to have to enjoy so easily, to be able to talk to anybody in the world without someone looking over their shoulder saying, you can't say that, you can't ask them that. And this is the cool thing about being independent creators, right? We are our own bosses, you know, and we are able to be our own, you know, we can put out what we want within the limit, right? Within our own scope of things, and be able to share and come together like this on the internet. As you mentioned, you know, early on, Larry, how we can be all over the world, and we're talking at the exact, you know, this time. Here I'm about 12 hours ahead of you guys in the future, right? It's Sunday, 1:30, and you guys are yesterday for me.
For tomorrow, bro. You just fire them off me on Facebook.
So I want to thank you guys for joining us, and I hope to have you again. And I want to, you know, open invite to join us on Plungecast over the next, you know, we'll try to slot it in over the next 12 months, whatever, next couple of months, as much as we can get you guys along and your teams along, and anybody else who wants to be, you know, come on and talk to us and, you know, promote themselves. This is where, you know, this is where we want to be with you guys and with everybody else in this independent circuit, is to be able to share.
We missed Max. Max, what'd you get in this week? What shout outs do you want to do?
Oh, okay. My bad. I got Forsaken Future.
Oh, what's that?
I don't know. The cover looked interesting to me, so I picked it up, and it's a thick book, so it'll be something good to read for a minute.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
I don't buy a whole lot of stuff, usually stuff from the dollar bins.
This is it.
Okay.
Yeah, it is getting pricey out there, isn't it, for like mainstream comics right now? You know, $4.99, $5.99, $6.99. But I mean, we're in the same game. But we, you know, I'll think for us, we're subvariant and limited releases. So I want to finish off here, and like I said, thank you for joining us, guys. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Larry.
Yeah,
thanks for having us. Well, like, listen, the open invitation goes both ways, and for any of you, you know what I mean. We made a connection now. We think you guys are cool dudes, And we have no problem bringing you guys on the show. If you want to just come in and hang out, whether it's to promote or just to hang out, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Awesome. Thank you, Hugo,
Thank you very
all
much.
the way from Mexico, joining in. And thank you, Hawk, for taking some time out of your Saturday. But all you guys, it's your Saturday, so thank you for taking the time out of your Saturdays to help us on this broadcast. And if you guys are watching, check out our comic, Incredi-Girl #1, The Gathering of the Five. It's the first of 6, and you can see beautiful art, colors and artwork there by Kevin and colors by Hugo. Please back us. We're about 40%. Check it out, and we'll see you soon. Now, if you're interested, I'm interviewing a local airbrush artist and pop culture airbrush artist. I don't know what you want to call that, but like spray painter does cars, like huge. Like the last thing I saw was like I think it was like Iron Maiden or a Metallica car that she did for someone. And so join me in about another hour, half an hour. There'll be the page will go up soon, the link for that. Thank you. And just in final phase, do you guys want to say something? And I'll finish off with that.
Well, all I got to say is thanks for having us, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, man.
Awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right.
Bye, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
I'll
Kakiteano.
message you in a few minutes, Max.
Yep.
Wherever
All
you guys are, we'll see you, and be well, be safe, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. And like I said, join us in half an hour for the airbrush with Julia Tapp, who just graduated. She's also a teacher, and she's worked with special needs kids with art. So it'll be great to just hear what she says and how she works with art, trying to get art across to special needs people, children, and so on, and else, and how that works in with what she's trying to do with her ethos about art. All right, thank you. See you soon,
Thank
guys.
you, brothers.
Peace.